How long have you been living in Florida for?
21 years.
Okay. And you moved there from Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania, the Pocono Mountains of Northeast Pennsylvania.
Wow. So are you an Eagles fan?
Steelers.
Steelers, sorry. That's
Steelers.
right. Oh yeah, I should have noticed. Is that Bradshaw's number? Who's 7?
No, that's Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going old school there.
Yeah. Wish I had a Terry Bradshaw jersey. That'd be nice.
Yeah. So I'm joined here by Dave, one of my YouTube channel subscribers, and it's exciting because this is my first interview where I'm talking to a non-family member. And Dave, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm almost 61 years old, live in South Florida, down in the West Palm Beach area. Been down here about 21 years. Enjoy it. Took a little while to get used to the never change of seasons, and especially miss this time of year, being from the Poconos up in Pennsylvania.
What was your first memory of playing cards? Any cards?
Well, it's funny. I didn't. My parents didn't play cards. Maybe my dad never mentioned it, and I never played. He maybe did when he was in the service during Korea. And my mom, her father had an accident and was actually bedridden for a year before he passed away. And she would play cards with him all the time to pass the time. And it was a bad memory for her after he had passed and everything. So she never played cards. Mm-hmm. So my first really playing cards, and actually it was poker, is with a friend of mine, his sister, his cousins. They had a little shed on their property. It was all fixed up, and we'd go down there and play poker. And somewhere along the line, somebody learned how to play poker and taught it to the rest of us. And that's first experience. And then here and played a little poker here and there. And next big experience with playing poker was with my buddies at a hunting cabin. We'd go golf in the summer. After golf, we'd go back to the hunting cabin and sit around and play poker. Just really basically got into playing poker about 4.5 years ago.
Okay, that's great. Okay, wow. So only the last 4.5 years you've been picking up doing poker again, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Started playing with some guys that were a lot more experienced and a lot better than I was, and just picked it up from them. Still not the greatest poker player, but I enjoy it. It's just a great social atmosphere to get together. I host a regular game every 3 weeks on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to ask about. What is it you enjoy most about when you have these poker parties?
I do it primarily for the social aspect. I've come out the big winner in our games a couple of times, but for me, it's mostly the social aspect, getting together with the guys, having a few beers, playing poker, talking, and just getting together. I have a 20-year-old son that I taught poker to. He'd never really played poker until 2 or 3 years ago with us, and just enjoy spending time with my son and watching him. The last 4 poker nights that we've had, he's been the big winner. In fact, I got to tell you a story. The last poker game that we had, he was down. Actually, he was broke. He had to borrow a 25-cent chip from the guy next to him to make the final call, and he won the hand with a 4 of a kind, and then proceeded to win 2 of the next 4 hands, and ended up, when he cashed out at the end of the night, was the big winner of $22.
Wow. Your story echoes a lot of my story, where my son got interested when he was in his late teens, early 20s, and would sit down and play with us almost every poker party I've had. He's joined since he's been about 18.
It's great having your son there with you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is good. It's good because it reminds me of when I was his age and my dad playing and playing with the family. And actually, one of the things I interviewed my son not too long ago, and I'm really interested about getting younger people's perspective on poker, because so many of them just know Texas Hold'em. When they get exposed to this backyard style that I've been showing on this channel, it's kind of an eye opener.
Mm-hmm.
So when you started showing this to your son, why do you think he enjoys it as a younger person?
I think it's the social aspect as well. Everyone that he's playing with here at the table is all older than he is. So I think he kind of enjoys the hanging out with the various different ages that are gathered here at this table, hearing their experiences. And I think he likes the social aspect. And I recently, I think he likes beating the pants off of us now too.
Sounds just like my son.
But I do. I really enjoy it. That's one of the greatest parts of this, other than hanging out with now who have become very good friends of mine through this. Just sitting there watching my son, studying everybody's hands and sitting there like this, watching everybody and figuring out what everybody's got. And, it's very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun.
So you host poker games then?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the table. It's funny. I looked at it at the store. Would walk away, come back, think about it, walk away, come back, and then I finally said, "Okay, I'm going to get it," because I think we could, I could have a poker night, and ended up getting it and invited a couple of guys that I knew that did play. We found some others along the line and had some very great games. A lot of fun. This is actually the third condo I've been in down here in this community, and the poker tables come along, and a great chandelier that I had in the first condo, it looks like it belongs in a casino or over a poker table. Mm-hmm. So that's come along with me too.
So when you started started hosting your poker parties, did you create house rules, or did you sit down and explain house rules? How did that process go?
No, it was something that I was not aware of and didn't occur to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I will now, since I watched your series and learned that you should have some house rules and excuse me, and etiquette, then I'm going to put together some house rules. We'll keep it light and, not too strict and everything, but it is a good idea. There has been some things that have come up that needed to be resolved. And in the beginning, no, I didn't have any house rules.
Yeah, that's I like to view house rules as just like a backup. That, I don't like to push them, but it's like, in case something happens, here's a sheet that you all took a look at, and this is how we're going to solve things. One of the things that my father explained in the interview I had with him, I didn't think of this, is that you should have a rule that says any disputes that come up, you as the host are going to take care of it. And then I added in there, well, if you're the one who's part of the dispute, you allocate an arbitrator to somebody else to have them make a decision. And he said, most of the time, I just have them divide the money. There may be a loophole or something extraordinary that happens that isn't really covered. Then each side may have a good point. Why not just divide the money? Not cause somebody to be a little feel like they were cheated out of something. It's just better to just divide it. Well, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad that the channel is helping with that, because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that are going to be hosting a poker party. I want to make sure they get started off on the right foot.
Right. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And I hope anybody that's watching this, if you're not currently hosting a poker night, go ahead, try it. It's a lot of fun. We start 7:00 cards are in the air at 7:00. I always have like a nice meal, dinner, if anybody wants to come over early and eat. And then cards are in the air at 7. We usually break up about 11 or so. And it's a great time.
So what we're seeing here is a picture of your son and I believe one of his buddies.
Actually, my son is there on the left in the dark shirt. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting next to Jacob, who's actually a brother-in-law of one of my great friends. And my good friend Brent plays regularly, and so does his brother-in-law Jacob. They come together, and yes, he's sitting there next to Noah. Funny thing is Noah missed a poker night a couple of times ago. He was up in Georgia visiting his mom, And Jacob came in and made the comment. He knew he was away. He said, "Oh, Noah's away. We might actually be able to win some money tonight." And
the sandbagger's away.
Yeah. And Jacob is actually the one that lent Noah the 25-cent chip to make the final call on that big hand.
Does he regret that now?
No.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Now, are these pictures, because this table looks different than the one that you're currently at?
Right. That's a poker motif tablecloth that I put over the table prior to playing because, like I said, I served dinner and to not get anything on the felt top on top of the poker table. I put the tablecloth and then we eat. And then once we're all done eating, I take that up. You're
going to have to send me a link to that tablecloth because that is awesome. I want to get one of those.
I think I got that on Amazon.
Yeah?
Yes.
Definitely send me the listing of that. That's cool.
I will. That's my buddy's. George is on the left in the white T-shirt. He's actually a city police officer down here in Broward County, south of us.
Oh, great!
And great guy. And then the gentleman next to him is Bob, and Bob was a machine gunner on helicopter in Vietnam.
Wow. Well, tell him I said thank you for your service.
I will. And and then once he was out, he was a used car salesman all his life, and good guy. He just started playing with us. The last game, I put up a flyer around town, some different spots, looking for poker players, just so I had a pool of players to draw from in case 2, 3, 4 of my regulars weren't ever able to make it. I had some other people I could call and invite. And Bob saw the flyer and called me up, and he loved it. First experience, he loved it here. He's going to be back. So
now, did all of these people, especially since this looks older generation here, were they all familiar with the games and how to play backyard poker?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, two contrasts here. Bob's played. Bob obviously played when he was in the service in Vietnam and everything. So he's very familiar with it. We have the Palm Beach Kennel Club dog track, which because of legislation, we no longer run dogs, the greyhounds down here, but they still have poker rooms. And Bob will go there and play poker and play Texas Hold'em and stuff like that occasionally. And he's very familiar. Where George had played poker years ago, but got away from it. And the interesting thing is when I invited him to play, he was all enthusiastic and everything, but he was a little concerned that he wasn't going to be able to be familiar, play that well. And I actually sent him a link to your series. Excuse me, Ryan. I actually sent him a link to your series on poker basics and games and hand ranks and everything. And he watched that, and he said it helped him immensely before he came in and joined the game.
Wow, that is so cool to hear.
Yeah,
I mean that is exactly what I made the channel for. Was either somebody new or somebody who's not that familiar. That's great to hear. I'm I'm tickled pink to hear that.
Yeah, I sent him. I gave him the names of some of the games that we play, so he could Google them. And then I also sent him the link to your series. So I'm seeing Joe in his pink shirt.
Does Joe like pink?
I guess. I don't know if he wore that for Cancer Awareness Month, last game on the 2nd or not, but he looks pretty in pink there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I guess the flamingo theme going on there in Florida. Here's a really good picture.
Yeah. Yep, that's the guys. I'm obviously taking the picture, so I'm not in there, but that's the 6 others. There's you got Joe on the right, and then next Jacob, my son there, Bob, George, and my good friend Brent, who, if you see that poker tabletop there, the green felt, Brent and I made that.
That's beautiful.
The table has a wood top, so obviously you can't be tossing chips on the wood. They're gonna be flying all over. So I had just a piece of felt that I'd cut to 36 inches and had that on the table for the longest time, and then decided I wanted something a little nicer, and we made that. We have a gentleman that's got a wood shop in the area, and he cut the MDF board to 36-inch diameter. It's a perfect circle. And then what we did is we took rubber shelf liner and spray adhesive and glued that onto the board.
Mm-hmm.
And then we placed just a felt top that you could get off of Amazon that would cover like a dining room table or a kitchen table for you, and just to make it into a poker table, and stapled it down, cut the excess off, and that's what we got.
Does it handle well when you deal the cards too? Has a little bit of a give to them?
Actually, the only, I wouldn't say it's a big negative, but the only flaw that I found is with the felt, the cards don't fly across the table as well as if it was on speed cloth. But it gets the job done. And it's great for collecting the chips. There's no loud bang on wood or anything, and it grabs the chips and stops them. So it's great. But when this wears out, eventually I'll take it off and probably switch to speed cloth. I had debated between speed cloth and felt, and went with the felt.
So you guys playing stud here? What is this?
Let me see what that is. That's that's stud.
Okay.
Probably could be baseball. We play a lot of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Recently started looking online for different games to play, because it seemed like we were always getting stuck on playing Follow the Queen or baseball, straight 7, 5-card draw, and it was like maybe the same 3, 4, 5 games over and over and again. And I wanted a little variety. I wanted to break it up a little bit. So I've been looking online and finding some other games. And but that's it's most likely baseball that we're playing there.
Yeah, stay tuned on the BakYard Poker channel, because I'm going to start posting a flurry of games that I like to play, which may be ones you've never seen before. That's definitely something that's on my agenda to do.
Okay. Great. Looking forward to that. I saw You're Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We're going to try that. That's our next game. Oh, there you are. You're in Dave's Caves poker room.
So, Dave, you mentioned a few of the games that you like to play. Do you use wild cards in your game, and do people like using wild cards?
Yeah, well, Joe, who's one of my regulars now, was not a big fan of wild cards, but we do play wild cards the majority of the time. So he's gotten used to it. He enjoys it. He likes it. He's fine with it. A friend of his that came along with him a couple times is not a wild card fan at all, really. Just very adamant about that. He doesn't like it too much. He played because that's what we called, and he dealt with it. And of course, he likes it when he wins. But but no, but most of the other guys, everybody else enjoys playing with the wild cards.
Yeah, I do too. Here's the one thing that I see that I think separates BakYard poker from Texas Hold'em. The idea of everybody staying in and not spending half of the time just folding your hand, at the beginning. Texas Hold'em, I think, just you spend a lot of time just folding your hand and just waiting for the right setup to keep playing. With a wild card, hey, things can change on a dime. So even if you have a mediocre hand, the wild card is going to help you out and keep you in the game. And that's the idea when you're playing low stakes, at least in my opinion. Yeah. Keep people in, keep people interested,
Right, exactly.
What's your opinion of Texas Hold'em?
I don't know. I watched it a little bit on television. It's all the rage now. I've played it. We actually Jacob will call Texas Hold'em every now and then as one of the dealer's choices games. So we will play it, but most of us just don't play it all that much, and not enthusiasts. But I guess, I don't know, people want to be the next Phil Ivey or Doyle Brunson or something. But that seems to be the big thing. I actually invited a guy one time, learned about my game. I invited him to a game. He did come, and then didn't reply to an invitation for my next game. And I finally got in touch with him and asked him, I said, what, you had a great time that night. Why didn't you want to come back? And he goes, I'd just rather play Texas Hold'em. So I don't know. Whatever. I think Bob plays at the dog track down here in their poker rooms. He plays Texas Hold'em there, but he also enjoys the dealer's choice games that we have here.
So out of all the poker games that you play, what is your favorite or favorites?
I enjoy Follow the Queen, and then we play a variant, excuse the language, but Kill the Bitch, which is basically follow the queen, but if a queen of spades is dealt face up, it kills the hand, mucks the hand, re-ante and redeal, and it can really build a pot if she comes up a few times. So Follow the Queen, and sorry about the last couple poker nights ago, Joe, we were playing Kill the Bitch as the finale, as our final game. And it's going along, and the Queen of Spades came up 3 times. Killed the hand 3 times. And Joe, at the end of the night, when he cashed out, he had cashed out $55, and 48 of it was from that final hand. Wow.
So that you do a grand finale game. That's one thing I was talking about in my house rules. Do you have a specific time that you do it, or just when everybody says we've had enough?
We try to break up by 11. So watch the clock, and when I figure out who maybe would have the last deal when it comes around to about 11 o'clock, and try to say, once around to whoever. And it happened to be me that night, and I dealt Kill the Bitch, and Joe ended up winning big with that.
Wow.
Probably one of the biggest pots we've ever had, and certainly it was never killed 3 times.
Yeah, I got a buddy who likes to play that game too, and yes, we see that pot mound growing bigger and bigger on some of those games. But yeah, those can be interesting.
Yes, yeah, and we also a lot of the guys like to deal baseball. We play baseball 3s and 9s wild. You can play it if you get a 4 up. You can buy an extra card for 50 cents if you want, but we don't really do that. But and then I found a variation of baseball called Out at Home, which I'm going to try for the upcoming game, which is baseball 3s and 9s wild, but you deal 4 community cards in the shape of a diamond, first, second, third, base, and home. And you deal 3 cards to each player. There's a betting round, and then you start turning the community cards. You turn first base, and there's a betting round, and then you turn second and third, and betting rounds in between. And then when you get down to the final card, the one at home plate, turn that, and that you do not use that in your hand. That's just an indicator card. If it comes up as a face card, Jack, Queen, King, it mucks the hand. You re-ante and re-deal again. So there is a kill card aspect to it.
That's nice.
And everybody uses those 3 other community cards, first, second, and third base. And if a 4 turns up in one of those community cards at first, second, or third, everybody gets an extra card. They don't buy it; they all just automatically get an extra card.
That is a really cool variation on baseball. Yeah, maybe at some point in the future, we'll do an exclusive Poker Shot video just on that game. We'll get the table set up, and we'll walk through how to play the games. I'm sure other people would be curious about it.
Sounds good.
Okay. Oh, so as far as the BakYard Poker channel, I'm really curious. How did you find out about my channel?
Well, we obviously with the COVID pandemic of last year, we weren't playing any poker. So my game kind of got suspended for pretty close to a year, and just started playing again this past April. And when I did, I was just researching different poker things, everything from how to build a poker tabletop, because I wanted the really nice felt top, to games, to hosting poker, to whatever, and came across your series and watched all of the episodes and just loved it. It's just tremendously helpful, a lot of good information. You presented it excellent. You're doing a great job, Ryan. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And like I said, I had sent the link to it to George when he was when he was going to be playing with us, but hadn't played in a while. So he wanted to familiarize himself again with it and everything. It was just a great tool to be able to get to him.
Now, did George feel that because of watching the videos that he was prepared, very well prepared?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because if there's anything I missed, and that's the next question I wanted to ask. Do you have any suggestions for the channel for future videos.
I think your series is excellent. There's I wouldn't change anything or add anything to that. Just keep showing those quick shots of different games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's high priority. I wanted to have that base level of how to play poker, get everybody up to speed. Now, when I start showing these games, I can always refer back to, hey, watch this video to be more familiar with betting. Watch this video for how stud is played. Because what I found when I did my own personal research on playing poker, not Hold'em, but this neighborhood dealer's choice style, is that too many times people would try to cram too much information in one video and assume too much. You notice that when I did this 10-part series, I assumed you knew nothing. You may not even know what the card ranks were when you first started out. So I wanted to step people through the entire process to get you to the point that when I start showing some of these games, and some of these have some crazy mechanics to them or specific rules that are implemented, I wanted to make sure I had that baseline in place for people to use. So, yeah, that's great to hear. I'm so glad to hear that people are getting positive benefit from this. I guess you can say I'm trying to expand the awareness, especially for younger people, about this whole different way of playing poker besides Texas Hold'em. It's just adding variety to something that was there before Texas Hold'em came along.
Yeah. I mean, you look back the old time war movies, guys are always sitting around playing poker. The Wild West, there's great poker scenes in Tombstone with Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer is just an excellent Doc Hollidays. And the great scene where he flips over his card, he goes, oops.
You've seen that in some of my videos, right?
Yes. Yeah. You know what else is growing up as a kid and watching MASH? There was a lot of times there were poker games, and in fact, a whole episode was built around their poker night.
Yep.
And
I loved MASH.
It's great. And the funny thing is I started playing, and I got exposed to baseball, 3s and 9s wild, and there's a scene where Klinger is about ready to deal a game, and he's saying, okay, 7-card stud, 3s and 9s are wild. You can buy an extra card on a 4. And I went, hey, it's baseball.
What are we playing?
3s and 9s are wild. If you want, you can buy a new card on an open 4.
Except February, which has 28. We're here to buy or talk? I think I'm here to lose.
Ace bets $1 blind.
So pretty cool. But yeah, that's what I grew up with, was watching the regular dealer's choice poker games, and now Texas Hold'em seems to be the rage. But it's good if other people are exposed to the other games, because it's just so much fun playing dealer's choice.
So Dave, we're at the end of the interview, and what I like to do with every interview I do is I just like to have the person get the last word. So say anything you feel.
Just try dealer's choice games. Texas Hold'em is great. As Ryan said, there's a place for both, but the variety, the excitement, especially if you're using wild cards, dealer's choice is just a great way to go. And there's so many games out there. When I started researching games to have a real variety in our game nights, I found a ton of games, and some are a little intricate and take you a little while maybe to learn them and get the hang of them. But once you do, it's just a lot of fun. And I appreciate you, Ryan, and your channel, and just keep up the great work.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. It is greatly appreciated.
You're welcome.